Inspiring millionaire discovers boy-ass saxophone solos to save his MOM. Amazing action revealed. In the heart of a small, tight-knit Midwestern town, 12-year-old Jamie S. saxophone cried out like a soulful whisper, filling their modest home with melodies of hope and dreams. While his mother worked tirelessly, juggling multiple jobs to keep food on the table for Jamie and his younger sister, the saxophone became Jamie's escape. Each note echoed through the walls, resonating with the weight of their struggles. Jamie imagined a future beyond their worries, a brighter horizon where his music could lift his family from the burden they carried. But reality hit hard. Jamie's mom, with tired eyes and a smile that masked exhaustion, held on to pride like an anchor. She refused help, often letting her own health deteriorate rather than accepting charity. It broke Jamie's heart to see her sacrifice, the years etching deeper lines on her brow. He knew the bills piling up, each one a reminder of the weight on her shoulders. So as Jamie practiced, pouring his heart into every soulful note, he contemplated the school's annual talent show, his chance to show his mom he was determined to help lift their spirits. A few days later, Jamie mustered the courage to sign up, the thought of performing sending butterflies swirling in his stomach. He dreamed of the crowd as applause, of seeing his mom beaming with pride. Meanwhile, a wealthy philanthropist named Mark, whose success story echoed the struggles Jamie's family faced, decided to attend that night. Upon hearing Jamie's saxophone solo, Mark was transported back to the dreams of his own childhood. The boy's music was not just notes, it was a story of hardship, perseverance, and hope. After the performance, Mark approached Jamie with an empathetic smile, suggesting he could help with medical bills his mother was too proud to address. Jamie's heart raced with possibilities, but as he shared the idea with his mom, her face hardened with disbelief. "We can't accept charity," she snapped, defending their independence fiercely. Jamie felt torn, caught between honoring his mother's wishes and wanting to pursue his dreams, his love of music just a heartbeat away. Amidst this emotional turmoil, Mark felt his offer had unintentionally created rifts. He questioned if the outstretched hand had only highlighted the deep feelings of inadequacy lurking within Jamie's family. As whispers of disapproval spread through the small town, the tension escalated. Some townsfolk resented Mark's wealth, believing he was meddling where he didn't belong. Yet, no matter how dark it felt, Jamie held on to the hope that music could bridge the gap between need and pride. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the night of the concert arrived, Jamie stepped onto the stage, saxophone gripped tightly in hand, heart pounding. He could feel the weight of his world pressing down as he glanced toward his mom in the audience, her eyes glistening with unspoken fears and hopes. Jamie took a deep breath, reminded of everything that was riding on this moment. The first notes floated from his saxophone like threads weaving together love and desperation. As Jamie played with all he had, he could see the emotions he poured into his music stirring something within the crowd. When the final note lingered in the air, he locked eyes with his mother, tears brimming in her eyes. In that moment, he realized their connectedness, both their lives were on the line. The journey toward acceptance and hope had just begun, leaving Jamie at a crossroad. Would the community rally together in support, or would the divisions pull them apart? The applause washed over Jamie like a warm wave, pulling him from the depths of his worries as he stepped off the stage. His hands shook slightly as he clutched the saxophone, the audience's appreciation still ringing in his ears. His heart swelled with a mixture of pride and fear. He hadn't just played for the crowd. He had played for his mom, for every late-night struggle, for all the moments she leaned on that invisible wall of strength. As he walked toward the wings, he caught sight of his mother, who stood with tears streaming down her face. She squeezed through the crowd, a look of awe and disbelief swirling in her eyes. When Jamie reached her, she enveloped him in a hug, her arms tightening as if she were afraid to let go. "Jamie, you were incredible," she managed to whisper, her voice thick with emotion. "I wanted to show you, Mom," he said, his breath shaky. "I wanted to help." But her smile faltered as reality crept back in. "Honey, please, just let me try," Jamie interrupted, desperation bubbling to the surface. "We can't keep ignoring what we need. We can figure it out together." As they stood there, Jamie noticed Mark hovering at the edge of the crowd, his expression a mix of concern and admiration. Jamie's gaze bounced back to his mother. He knew the pride she cherished, but at what cost? He felt a spark ignite in him, a mix of ambition and love. "Mark wants to help with the bills. I think he can do it. We just have to accept it." His mother's brows knitted together, the familiar resistance flooding back. "No. Remember what I said about charity. We don't need handouts. We'll manage, Jamie. We always do. But we shouldn't have to." Jamie's frustration spilled over. The saxophone, once a beacon of hope, now felt heavy in his grip. "Why can't you see that it's okay to accept help sometimes? It doesn't take away who we are." Silence hung between them, heavy and thick. Jamie could see the turmoil behind his mother's determined facade. The air around them buzzed with the noise of the audience beginning to dissipate, but in that moment, time stood still. "You deserve more than this," Jamie finally said, his voice softer. "You're working yourself to death, Mom. I want to help lift the weight off your shoulders." The silence was deafening until her soft sigh broke through. "I just don't want to burden you. You're not a burden. I love you, and I'll always want to do what I can for you and Sarah. Just let me try this, please." A flicker of doubt crossed her face, but as she looked into Jamie's eyes, something shifted. The fierce pride that had held her back began to crack, revealing a hint of vulnerability. "I don't want to fail you, Jamie. Maybe we can talk to him." That small admission felt like a victory, but in the depths of Jamie's heart, he still felt the tension rippling through the town. He saw Mark again, talking to a few audience members, sensing the disapproval that hung like dark clouds. What if accepting help would only draw more lines in the sand? Would they be able to bridge this divide, to let love and music mend the fractures in their lives? As he and his mother turned toward Mark, Jamie wondered just how far they would have to go to truly unite their dreams with their reality. In the distance, the saxophone's echo faded, but in its place, a new heart-pounding rhythm began to build, a rhythm that would lead them forward or tear them apart. Would they find the strength to embrace the change they so desperately needed? Jamie felt a bit of lightness as he and his mother approached Mark. The air was charged with anticipation and uncertainty, and he could feel it in his fingertips. Yet, amid the mounting tension, he could sense a glimmer of hope. Maybe this was the moment they'd finally take a step forward. "Hey, Jamie!" Mark waved, a friendly smile spreading across his face. But the warmth in his expression faded as he caught sight of Jamie's mother's anxious demeanor. "I just wanted to say you were fantastic out there." "Thanks," Jamie replied, trying to hide his nerves. "I'm glad you enjoyed it." "Mom, we were hoping you could reconsider?" Mark shifted slightly, his body language becoming more serious. "I want to help, but I don't want to overstep any boundaries. I know how fiercely protective you both are, and I respect that." Jamie held his breath, waiting for his mother's response. She gazed at Mark, weighing her options. "It's not that I don't appreciate your offer, Mark. Believe me, Jamie just wants what's best." She paused, clearly wrestling with her pride. "But I've always believed that we should handle our own problems. Sometimes, it's okay to lean on others, though," Mark countered gently. "You've been carrying so much. Let us share the load a little." A flicker of realization crossed his mother's face, mixed with a wave of vulnerability. "I don't want Jamie to feel like he has to carry the weight of our bills on his shoulders." He stepped closer, voice low yet earnest. "He's already doing that with his music. And he's doing it beautifully. Why not let me help in return?" Tears brimmed in Jamie's mother's eyes again, and something inside her seemed to soften. She opened her mouth, hesitated, then closed it. The words were trapped somewhere between want and fear. I'm scared, she finally admitted, her voice trembling. I'm scared of what this will mean for us. As she spoke, Jamie felt a surge of protective instinct. Mom, it won't change who we are. It's just one step. It doesn't mean we're giving up. It means we're strong enough to let others in. Mark nodded, catching the undertones of Jamie's plea. Let me help you, please. Your talent deserves to bloom. You shouldn't have to worry about fitting everything into the cracks of your day. Jamie's mother looked between the two of them, slowly letting down the defenses she had built. What if it doesn't go well? What if it complicates things? Mark took a step forward, his sincerity echoing in the space between them. If it doesn't, we'll figure it out together. But if you don't try, you could miss out on something incredible. Finally, the weight of the moment crushed around them, and Jamie's heart raced. This was the turning point they desperately needed. Okay, his mother said, her voice barely above a whisper. Let us try it. A collective breath was released, and Jamie felt the knot in his chest loosen. Just then, a loud cheer erupted from a group nearby. The same audience that had applauded him moments before now seemed alive with energy. See? Mark smiled wider, breaking the somber atmosphere. That's the spirit of community. It's exciting, not scary. Realizing the weight of possibility in the air, Jamie glanced at his mother. For the first time, he saw a hint of excitement mix with her nervousness. Mom, we can do this together. As they stood united, a tantalizing potential flickered in the air. But beneath the joy, a nagging doubt kept tugging at Jamie's mind. What if they opened their lives to help, only to find themselves further entangled in community judgments? As he looked out into the faces of the crowd still buzzing from the performance, Jamie couldn't shake the feeling that more change was on the horizon, change that would impact their family in ways they couldn't even foresee. Would they embrace this new chapter, where their music and struggles could intertwine? Or would the fear of judgment from others hold them back from the support they truly needed? The next note in the symphony was yet to be played, and Jamie was ready to step into that unknown. Jamie took a deep breath as he glanced at his mother. There was a sparkle in her eyes, a flicker of belief that had been absent for so long. What had felt like an impossible choice now seemed like a door cracked open, ready for them to step through. He could feel the hum of excitement thrumming through his veins, but just as quickly, doubt seeped back in. Are we really doing this? He questioned softly. His mother looked at him, her expression shifting from uncertainty to a tentative smile. I believe we are, Jamie. Together. Her voice was steady, and Jamie felt a warmth spreading through him. Mark smiled wider, sensing the shift in energy. Let us talk about the next steps then, he said. There are a few local venues that might be interested in showcasing your music, real stages with real audiences. Jamie's heart raced at the thought. The very idea of performing in front of more people made butterflies dance in his stomach, but this time, they felt more like a flight toward opportunity rather than fear. As they began discussing plans, Jamie's mind wandered back to the moment he first picked up the saxophone. It had felt like finding a hidden part of himself, a voice that was undeniably his own. Now that voice had a chance to grow and reach others. He couldn't help but feel a sense of responsibility to share it, not just for himself but for his mother too. Yet, with every new idea Mark proposed, anxiety trickled through him like water seeping through cracks. What if they don't like me? What if I disappoint you, Mom? His voice faltered. Hey, none of that, his mother soothed, placing her hand on his shoulder. This isn't just about pushing through. It's about you doing what you love. I want to see you shine, Jamie, no matter what anyone else thinks. Mark interjected, That's right. You've already captured hearts with your music. This is merely a chance to share it with more people. Think of it as building a bridge instead of a wall. As they continued talking details, potential gigs, rehearsals, even local sponsors, Jamie began to feel the weight of his nerves lift. History had taught him that stepping into the light could be painful, but here, surrounded by their support, the discomfort started to transform into energy. Then suddenly, laughter erupted from the crowd nearby. A group of kids was playing a makeshift game of tag, their joy contagious. Jamie watched them, feeling a sense of longing for that carefree spirit. Let them join the fun, he joked, half serious. I could use a bigger audience even while I practice. His mother laughed, the sound like music to his ears. Maybe they could get through this together, not just as mother and son, but as a team with enough dreams to fill a stage. But as he saw a flash of uncertainty on Mark's face, Jamie's heart skipped a beat. There were still hurdles to overcome, battles that would test their resolve. Would they be strong enough to withstand the challenges of accepting help? Would their dreams still be their dreams once people started to notice? The crowd continued to cheer, and Jamie could feel the pulse of adventure igniting around him. They were all intertwined in a community that craved connection, just like him. But the thought of opening up their lives, their struggles, and their music also felt terrifying. Mark? Jamie ventured, his heart racing again. What happens when people see the real us? The messy parts? Mark's steady gaze met Jamie's, filled with understanding. You embrace those parts. They show just how resilient you are. Like notes in a song, they add depth to your melody. Jamie's heart swelled with a mix of fear and curiosity. So, it's about making it real? Exactly, Mark confirmed. And you'll be amazed at how many people will resonate with you. Sharing your journey can inspire others, and who knows? Maybe it'll inspire you too. As Jamie nodded, he felt the enormity of the moment pressing in around him, a mixture of hope and trepidation. This was their chance, but would they be brave enough to take it? With the sun setting behind them, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, he realized that a new melody was beginning to unfold. What awaited them on this stage of life? Could their music not just be a form of escape but a pathway to something greater? With determination swelling in his chest, Jamie felt ready to find out. Jamie sat in the dim light of their living room, the warmth of the sun replaced by the cool glow of a lamp. The walls around him felt like they were closing in, but in a way that excited him. He had the saxophone resting on his knee, its surface cool to the touch, as if it too was pulsing with anticipation. His mother was busy in the kitchen, moving around with a purpose. The sweet aroma of her famous banana bread wafted through the air. It always comforted Jamie, but tonight, it mingled with anxiety. Everything felt different. They were no longer merely surviving, they were about to step into the spotlight of their own lives. Mom, he called out, hesitating as he searched for the words. Do you think anyone will really connect to my music? What if they think it's dumb? His mother appeared in the doorway, flour dusted on her cheek, a genuine smile lighting up her face. Jamie, honey, you have a gift. People will hear your heart in your music. Trust that. He took a deep, shuddering breath. What she said made sense, but doubt snaked its way through his mind, relentless and sneaky. Okay, but if this doesn't go well, I don't want you to feel disappointed, he muttered. Her gaze turned serious, and with a gentleness that steeled his resolve, she approached him. Disappointment doesn't come from failure, Jamie. It comes from not trying at all. There was weight to those words, resonating deep within him. He picked up the saxophone, feeling its familiar curves in his hands. He could almost hear the notes calling out to him, urging him to start. Can you give me a minute? He asked, settling into the couch. His heart thudded like a drum beneath his chest as he began to play. The sound filled the room, each note pouring out his feelings of hope, insecurity, and the flicker of excitement. His mother's attention turned toward him, her body still and still aware, drinking in every rise and fall of the melody. The tension in Jamie's shoulders eased as he played on, losing himself in the echo of the saxophone. This was where he belonged. Just as the last note hung in the air, a sudden applause made him jump. He turned to find Mark standing in the doorway, his hands clapping together, large eyes bright with admiration. That was incredible, Jamie! He exclaimed, stepping inside the room. You've got something truly special there. Heat crept into Jamie's cheeks. Really? You think so? Absolutely. You have the kind of sound that sticks with you. Mark stepped closer, a grin on his face that mirrored Jamie's own bubbling enthusiasm. We need to get you in front of people ASAP. Jamie felt a rush of exhilaration, but just beneath it swirled a fresh wave of anxiety. What if they think I'm not good enough? Mark waved his hand dismissively. No one achieves greatness without first looking a bit ridiculous. You just have to be willing to face that risk. Are you ready? The way Mark spoke made Jamie feel like he was perched on the edge of a great adventure. It both thrilled and terrified him. Yeah, I guess I have to be, he said, his voice steadying. The connection between them felt decisive, a pact to step forward together. With a final, triumphant breath, Jamie perched the saxophone back on his knees. He knew the journey wasn't going to be easy, but they were gearing up for something raw and real. Suddenly, a knock at the door pulled them out of their moment. His mother exchanged a confused glance with Jamie. Who could that be? Mark shrugged, his excitement still bouncing around him. Guess we'll find out. Through the uncertainty, Jamie felt a stir of curiosity. Who was this unexpected guest at their door? What new twist awaited them that might change everything? Jamie shared a look with his mother, a mixture of curiosity and uncertainty washing over him. He held his breath as Mark strode over to the door and swung it open with a flourish. Standing on the doorstep was a man Jamie had never seen before. Taller than both Mark and Jamie, he wore a tailored jacket and had a confident smile that made him seem almost larger than life. The man stepped forward with an air of purpose. Hi there. I hope I'm not interrupting, he said, his tone warm yet commanding. I'm Ben. I heard some enchanting music from down the street, and just had to come over. Jamie blinked. You heard my music? Ben chuckled, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Absolutely. It was beautiful. I thought I'd come say hi. You're Jamie, right? The saxophonist? Yeah, that's me, Jamie replied, feeling both honored and overwhelmed. He glanced at Mark, who looked just as astonished. Ben continued, You know, I own a small music label, and I'm always on the lookout for up-and-coming talent. Your sound is genuinely unique. It has potential beyond just garage jams. Jamie was stunned. Was this truly happening? The saxophone, once just a comforting presence in his life, was opening doors he had only dreamt of. Thank you, Jamie stammered, glancing at his mother for support. She stepped forward, her smile radiant yet slightly apprehensive. What does that mean exactly? Ben leaned against the doorframe, hands casually tucked in his pockets. I'd love to help you record a few tracks, maybe even arrange a small performance. Think of it as a chance to share your music with a wider audience. Jamie's heart started pounding anew. The thrill of possibility mixed with fear. But what if I'm not ready? What if I can't live up to all that? Ben raised an eyebrow, his gaze steady. That's where you're wrong, Jamie. You're already living up to it. It's your music that will connect with people, not just the notes. You have a voice, you just need to trust it. Mark's excitement bubbled over. This is incredible. You have to do it, Jamie. Imagine getting your music out there, sharing it with everyone who needs to hear it. Jamie bit his lip, feeling the weight of the moment. Everything he'd ever wanted was inching closer, and yet it felt like standing on the edge of a cliff. One step forward could change everything. Okay, but what if it doesn't work? He asked, the vulnerability creeping into his voice. Ben smiled knowingly. Each failure is just a stepping stone to success. You'll never know until you try. Life is about taking risks, Jamie. Jamie's hands quivered slightly as he glanced down at his saxophone. He envisioned the sounds he could create, the stories woven through each note. Could he share that with the world? His mother reached out and rested a hand on his shoulder. Listen, you may fall, but we'll always catch you. You have a family that believes in you. Just follow your heart. The encouragement hung in the air, a lifeline tethering him to hope. Taking a deep breath, Jamie met Ben's eager gaze. Okay, when do we start? Ben's smile widened. That's the spirit. Let us make some magic together. As they stepped back inside, Jamie felt a new energy buzzing around them. The world outside felt alive, full of endless possibilities. But just as excitement surged through him, a shadow flickered at the back of his mind. Was he really ready for this leap, The moment hung there, raw and full of potential. But before Jamie could voice his thoughts, another knock interrupted them, louder this time, demanding attention. His heart raced, caught between the thrill of opportunity and the dread of what might lie beyond that door. Who else awaited him now, and what could they uncover about this life he was still hesitant to embrace? Jamie felt his heart thud against his ribs as he exchanged nervous glances with his mother. Mark, still riding the high of Ben's visit, seemed all too eager to welcome another surprise. But Jamie's apprehension anchored him to the ground, like a weight tethering him to his reality. Another knock echoed louder, and Ben, with unshaken confidence, moved towards the door again. Jamie's stomach twisted with anticipation. What could this new visitor bring? Was it more validation, or perhaps a challenge he was not ready for? Mark said, "I'll get it," and bounded after Ben, leaving Jamie alone with his thoughts. The saxophone nestled in the corner of the room, inviting yet daunting. He took a deep breath, attempting to quiet the anxiety swirling like a storm in his chest. "What if I just can't do it?" he whispered to the instrument. "What if I'm just not good enough?" A moment later, Mark re-entered, trailing behind a girl about Jamie's age, her vibrant red hair tumbling into a tangled mess of curls. She looked around as if searching for something. But when her eyes met Jamie's, they lit up. "Wow! Is this where the magic happens?" she exclaimed, her voice bursting with energy. Jamie blinked in surprise. It might be, I guess?" Her smile expanded, revealing an infectious enthusiasm. "I'm Mia. I heard you playing, and I couldn't help but check it out." The notes were dancing down the street. Jamie chuckled nervously, flattered yet unsure. "Thanks, I'm Jamie." Mia stepped closer to the saxophone, her gaze turning thoughtful. "You know I play too. A bit of guitar and some flute, but saxophone? That's where the real heart is." Ben watched the interaction with keen interest, clearly amused. "Mia just graduated from music school. She's got some impressive skills." "Really?" Jamie felt a glimmer of hope. "What do you like to play?" "Anything that moves me, honestly," she said, her face serious for a moment. "I love tunes with soul, tunes where you can feel every note. Isn't that what it's all about?" "Yeah," Jamie replied, warming to the conversation. "It's kind of what I hope for too." "Hey," Ben interjected, the excitement returning to his voice. "Maybe we can all jam together sometime? Mix your sax, Jamie, with Mia's strings? That could be an amazing experience." "Sure," Jamie said, surprise blending with enthusiasm. The idea was wild, but vibrant. Sharing music like that, could it really happen? Mia grinned. "I can already hear it in my head. Let us do something special." For the first time, Jamie felt something shift. The fears that had gripped him began to ease, replaced with an electric feeling of possibility. As they spoke, the groundwork for collaboration formed, cracking open his reluctance, shedding light on the fear that had kept him confined. "What if we all practiced for the performance?" Mia suggested, beaming. "We could make it something unforgettable." Jamie nodded slowly, thinking. That would be pretty amazing. But doubt nodded again in his gut. "But what if I mess it all up?" Mia leaned closer, her demeanor earnest. "We'll support each other. Music is all about sharing, not perfection. Remember? Life's all about taking risks." The words settled deep inside him, igniting a flicker of courage. Suddenly, the saxophone looked less like a weight and more like a gateway. Just then, Ben added, "And remember, every great artist starts somewhere. We're all in this together." As Jamie's spirits lifted, he felt the anxiety begin to melt. But then, just as quickly, a dark thought flickered in his mind, the question he couldn't shake: what if he let them all down? Before he could voice it, another knock came at the door, a relentless echo, as if beckoning them all to confront what lay beyond. With a shared look filled with eagerness and trepidation, they turned towards the door again. Who else could be stepping into their lives, and would they be another piece in Jamie's unfolding journey? Mark opened the door with the enthusiasm of a kid on Christmas morning, swinging it wide. But the sight beyond the threshold sent a ripple of surprise through the entire room. A tall man dressed in a tailored suit stood there, a briefcase in one hand and a warm smile lighting up his face. His hair was slicked back, and he exuded an air of confidence that demanded attention. "Excuse me," he said, glancing from Mark to Jamie, "is this the place where I can find Jamie Collins?" Jamie swallowed hard. It felt surreal hearing his name spoken like that, especially by someone who looked like he belonged in a boardroom instead of a living room filled with music. "That's me," Jamie said, stepping forward hesitantly. "I'm Derek Simmons. I'm a music producer and I heard some remarkable things about a young saxophonist playing in the neighborhood." His gaze landed on the saxophone, now gleaming in the light of the room. "Is it true you play?" Jamie hesitated, a wave of anxiety crashing over him again. I try my best." Mia watched, intrigued, her earlier enthusiasm momentarily replaced with a mixture of disbelief and curiosity. "You know him?" she blurted out, glancing between Jamie and Derek. "Not personally, but I've been on the lookout for raw talent. I heard a sax solo played right outside my office building this afternoon, and it struck a chord with me. I wanted to come find the source." Derek's smile broadened. "Lucky for me, it led straight to you." Jamie felt his heart race. The words raw talent hung in the air, vibrant and green like fresh leaves after spring rain. "So you liked it?" "More than liked it." Jamie's thoughts spun as the reality of the situation hit him. This wasn't just any person at the door, this was a connection to his dreams. "Loved it," Derek replied, his tone sincere. "And I believe you have something special inside you waiting to burst free. What if we explored that? What if you could perform, reach a bigger audience, share your music like you always wanted?" Jamie's mind whirled. It felt too big, too much like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He glanced at Mia, who was practically bouncing on her toes, her eyes wide with wonder. "Me? A performance?" He half laughed, a mixture of excitement and fear flaring inside him. What if I freeze?" "Then you freeze," Derek said, a twinkle in his eye. "But that's the beauty of it. You wouldn't be alone. You'd have Mia, Ben, and everyone else cheering for you." "So you're really serious about this?" Jamie asked, still trying to wrap his head around it. "Absolutely," Derek asserted, his demeanor calm and encouraging. "The world needs your music. You just need to give yourself a chance. All I ask is that you practice with these amazing friends of yours and let us see where it goes. Who knows? We could have something extraordinary on our hands." The weight in Jamie's chest began to lift, piece by piece. Could this really happen? A whirlwind of questions surged through him, intertwined with sparkles of hope. Mia nudged him gently. "Jamie, you could do this. Imagine the magic we'd create together," she said, beaming. He looked from Derek to Mia, disbelief and excitement wrestling in his gut. It felt so simple and yet so daunting. He would have to face his fears, embrace the risk. Could he really step out of his safe space and embrace this challenge? What if I just can't?" Jamie murmured. Derek leaned closer, a serious but kind look in his eyes. "And what if you can? What if this opens doors you never knew existed?" Just then, Jamie's mother appeared in the doorway as if sensing the electric energy in the room. She looked from Jamie to Derek, a question in her eyes. Could she see the potential unfolding? As every gaze locked onto him, Jamie felt the surge of determination rising. All of it, the anxiety, the excitement, the weight of expectation burned like fire in his veins. But would his resolve hold firm when the time came? Would fear triumph over his desire to share his music? "Let us figure this out," Jamie said finally, his voice steadier than before. "I want to see what happens." And as the words left his lips, something turned inside him. But even with that flicker of determination, another thought crept in. Just before Jamie could voice it, Derek's phone buzzed, cutting off the moment, signaling that the world outside was about to pull them back into reality. Jamie's heart raced again. What was waiting for them on the other side of this thrilling opportunity? The tension in the room thickened, and Jamie's breath quickened as Derek answered his buzzing phone. The producer stepped back, momentarily distracted, leaving Jamie to grapple with the whirlwind of emotions swirling inside him. Mia took a cautious step closer to Jamie. "What just happened? Are you really going to do this?" she asked, her voice a mix of excitement and concern. "I don't know, Mia. It's a huge deal. What if I mess it up?" Jamie replied, fighting to contain the rising tide of doubt. He could feel his heart pounding like a bass drum, pounding harder with every second that passed. Derek returned to the conversation, slipping the phone into his pocket. "Sorry about that. Business never sleeps, you know?" He brushed invisible dust off his tailored suit. "Now, let us talk about the next steps." "Next steps?" Jamie echoed, his stomach twisting in knots. Derek nodded as he launched into a plan. He wanted to set up a rehearsal, bring in a producer friend, and possibly get some social media buzz going. Jamie struggled to keep up, the ideas racing around like a whirlwind. I can't believe this is happening." "Believe it," Derek assured him. "You've got a gift, and it's time to share it. I'll help you every step of the way." "I don't know if I'm ready," Jamie admitted, glancing at Mia, who was practically vibrating with energy. "Ready or not, it's time," Derek replied. "You can't wait for the fear to go away. You have to dive in and let the music carry you." Jamie pressed his lips together, weighing Derek's words. It felt surreal and terrifying, but it also ignited a spark deep inside him. This could be his moment, the chance he had always dreamed of. His mother, who had been silently observing, stepped forward. "Jamie, you love playing? Remember why you started?" Her voice was steady, full of warmth. "This is your passion. If this man believes in you, you should believe in yourself too." Her words struck a chord. He remembered long nights spent alone, practicing in his room. The feel of the smooth saxophone against his lips, the music flowing from him like pure joy. "I do love it," Jamie said softly, his voice gaining strength. "There you go," Mia said, throwing her arms around him. "Just think about it. Performing, creating together, it's what you've always wanted." "Let us take it one step at a time," Jamie said, feeling a rush of determination surge within him. "I'll try this out, but promise me we'll make it fun." Derek smiled widely, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "Fun is the name of the game. Imagine the music we're going to create. We'll make something incredible together." As Jamie looked around at the supportive faces, he felt a flame flickering that he thought had long been extinguished. But just then, the weight of reality crashed into him once more. "What happens if I really screw this up?" he asked, the vulnerability breaking through the surface. The thought gnawed at him, darkening the bright atmosphere in the room. "You'll learn," Derek replied, voice firm yet calming. "It's all part of the journey. No one starts off perfect. The point is to take a leap. That's where the magic happens." With those words hanging in the air, Jamie sensed that the real challenge wasn't about music or stages. It was about embracing who he was, taking risks, and finding his own voice. "I want to take that leap," he said, feeling lighter, like the weight of his doubts was lifting. Derek nodded. "Great. Let us set a rehearsal time, and I'll introduce you to some other musicians. You'll see how supportive the community can be." The flicker of hope within him ignited. As Jamie began to plan for the future, his heart raced with anticipation. New opportunities lay ahead, but would he be able to face the music when it truly mattered? And just as he began to imagine taking that stage, a sudden realization hit him. What if he wasn't just doing this for himself? What if his music could heal, inspire, or even connect with someone who needed it like his mom? "Wait," Jamie said, halting in his thoughts. "What if I could do more than just play? What if I could use this to help someone?" Derek looked intrigued, eyes glinting with curiosity. "That's a thought worth exploring, Jamie. Let us dig deeper into that." Jamie's heart quickened at the thought, wondering what kind of journey awaited him. Would he discover a way to intertwine his passion with purpose, creating something bigger than he could ever imagine? How far was he willing to go to find out? The spring sun dipped low, casting a warm glow over the town as Jamie stood at the edge of the park, saxophone in hand. The excitement bubbling inside him buzzed like electricity in the air. He felt ready. He had finally embraced the leap into the unknown. For weeks now, he had practiced with his friends Mia, Mark, and even occasionally with Derek, and every note he played chipped away at the ice of the self-doubt that had bound him for so long. Turning to look at his mother, Jamie noticed her standing nearby, her expression a mix of pride and nervousness. Today was the day of the concert they had organized for the local community, a fundraiser not just for their family but for families like theirs. Jamie's music would become a vehicle for change. It had morphed into something bigger than he could have ever dreamed. The crowd was gathering, a blend of familiar faces and new ones, friends, neighbors, and local families all eager to support. After all Jamie had been through, this moment felt monumental. Remembering his earlier fears, he took a deep breath, letting the morning air fill him with confidence. He had learned that vulnerability was not weakness. It was the raw truth behind every note he played. "Mom, I'm ready," Jamie said, his voice steady. "We're going to show them what we can do." His mother nodded, her smile widening. "Just remember, sweetheart, you're not alone. You have a family behind you. Always." As the first family settled on blankets under the trees, Mark took the microphone, his enthusiasm infectious. "Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. We have a very special show for you today, brought to you by a very special young man." The crowd clapped, and Jamie felt his heart thumping in rhythm with their applause. Mia stepped forward, her guitar slung over her shoulder. "We've got something incredible planned. Music is about connection, and we hope to create that bridge today." She shot Jamie a reassuring smile, and it sent warmth through him. Then it was Jamie's turn. He stepped to the front, saxophone glimmering in the sunlight. The crowd quieted, anticipation hanging thick in the air. He took a moment, letting silence envelop him, and then began to play. The first notes soared, wrapping around him like a comforting embrace. He poured every ounce of emotion into the performance, fear, hope, triumph, all flowing out through his saxophone. As the melody danced around him, he caught sight of his mother, her eyes shining with tears, a smile stretching across her face. It was not just her pride, it was the relief of knowing they were no longer constrained by the fear of accepting help. Today was about more than a performance. It was about community, about love, redemption, and resilience. He finished his piece, and the crowd erupted into applause. It washed over him, a warm tide pulling him into its embrace. He looked around, at the faces illuminated with joy and admiration, but he wasn't finished yet. Taking a deep breath, he gestured for Mia to join him. "Together, we'll play something that ties us all," Jamie announced, his heart racing. Mia took her place beside him, and they launched into a duet, their sounds weaving together like a tapestry, each note a promise of hope and connection. With every strum of the guitar and every breath into the saxophone, Jamie felt his soul blossom. He glanced at the crowd again, noticing people nodding along, some even swaying in time with the music. He could feel the energy, he could see the impact. This was the moment he had longed for, a moment not for himself, but for everyone. After they finished, the crowd leaped to their feet with cheers and whistles, but the greatest applause was that of his family. Jamie's heart soared. They had done this. They had turned their struggles into something beautiful, uplifting, and purposeful. He locked eyes with Mark, who stood beaming, filled with admiration. He turned to Mia, the joy on her face reflected back at him. And most importantly, he caught his mother's gaze, her voice breaking through the noise. "You did it, Jamie. I'm so proud." As a wave of gratitude surged through him, Jamie realized the true power of what they had built together. They had forged a new identity rooted not just in struggles but in community and love. And it would never be the same again. With the afternoon sun shining down, Jamie stepped off the stage, heart full and glowing. He had transformed not just through music but through the acceptance of help, the acknowledgement of their reality, and the willingness to embrace change. And as Jamie embraced his mother in a heartfelt hug, he knew this was just the beginning. He had faced fears head-on and transformed them into something incredible. "Let us keep this going," he said, his voice thick with emotion. This is our time. The future sparkled brightly ahead of him, radiating endless possibilities. Now was the change. Now was the moment to inspire others through music, community, and love. And Jamie knew that this was just the start of a beautiful symphony. If you felt inspired by Jamie's journey, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for uplifting content like this. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Each response matters and connects us all. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Thank you later. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting our journey through these actions.